been there, by the way?
No.
No.
Well, I can commend it to you, and it's interesting. What I'll ask this of both of you: do you know why it was called Amsterdam? Obviously, one of the scenes, a pivotal scene, is set there, but it could have been called something else, couldn't it?
I suppose so. Yes.
No, but do you think it's appropriate? That's what I'm asking.
Well, what else would you like to call it?
Again, without giving you a specific, it didn't need to necessarily be positioned as that particular city. Dave, what did you think?
I thought it worked because the characters were all their happiest when they were in Amsterdam.
That's true.
And they were all looking for that happiness again.
Yep, that's valid. Okay, so it's MA rated, runs for 2 hours and 14 minutes. All-star cast, headlined by Christian Bale. What a cast in this. Wow. Christian Bale, he features in what is a historic dramatic comedy. He is a disfigured, half-Jewish, half-Christian doctor named Bert Berenson. He fought alongside Harold Woodman, played by John David Washington, in the Great War. Both were injured. They were patched up in France by a caring nurse and a ghoulish artist. Yes, you can be both. Valerie Vose, played by Margot Robbie, who is a wonderful actor and looks sensational in Amsterdam. I mean, brilliant actor. Really, really brilliant. I just love seeing her on screen. The trio became inseparable, and because of Vose's connections, travelled to Amsterdam, where they lived a bohemian lifestyle. By then, Vose and Washington had... Sorry, it's not Washington. It's actually Vose and Woodman had fallen in love. But Berenson missed his wife, and his wife, played by Andrea Riseborough, and her name is Beatrice in the movie. So, having missed the wife, even though the wife has treated him badly, Berenson returns home to the United States. Circumstances will also see Vose disappear. So suddenly she is literally out of frame. 12 years later, with Berenson practicing as a doctor, Woodman a lawyer, the three would unexpectedly cross paths again. This time, Berenson and Woodman are in trouble. They're trying to clear their names after being framed for murder. What really happened goes to an understanding of the nefarious ends that a shadowy organisation named the Committee of Five would stoop to. Unpicking it all involves Vose's well-to-do family, which includes her controlling sister-in-law Libby, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. She's got very unusual eyes, I've got to say, and brother Tom, Rami Malek. Also featuring Zoe Saldana as an autopsy nurse, Mike Myers and Michael Shannon as spies, and Robert De Niro as a fated retired general. Talk about a great cast, as I said at the outset. The man behind the bold concept is Academy Award-nominated writer and director David O. Russell, who made American Hustle. Very complicated story, many threads. It requires concentration to follow, never a dull moment in what becomes a movie rooted in political conspiracy. The settings are varied from the destitute to the fashionable. I thought the acting, the dialogue are top shelf, giving latitude to showcase the supreme talents involved in this production. I really love the passion, the energy shown by Bale and Robbie in their full-on characterisations, Peter.
Absolutely. Look, the nub of this film is a true story about a group of businessmen in the 1930s who wanted to overthrow Roosevelt and the government at the time, which was a left-leaning sort of government, I suppose. So what was so impressive about this film is that the interweaving of stories about that, about the personal characters that are developed in the storyline, the issue of, in a sense, the red herring that Amsterdam is, which doesn't give away, in terms of its title, what the real story is all about, which I think is quite valid. And the terrific cast. I must admit I was amused at one stage when Chris Rock went up on the stage to talk to everyone around him. I was expecting a cameo from Will Smith, but
yeah, you've got a sick sense of humour, haven't you?
I do, but that was slapped down very quickly, I suppose, by the screenplay. But nevertheless, this is a really impressive, well-constructed film that deals with, at the heart of it, an issue that has resonances with Trump today, and that's what I liked about the political connections that the film was making in the 30s and in the present day. So overall, great cast, very impressive film.
But look, there were problems with it. Notwithstanding the positives that I spoke about, it outstayed its welcome. It became too caught up in its own complexities, and I thought it was too clever by halves. It didn't need to be 2.25 hours long, and it lost momentum in the third act. Less would have been more. It's good looking, it's highly adventurous, it pushes many of the right buttons, but it didn't come together as well as it could have, Peter.
Look, I don't agree. I think it was actually a very good storyline that took its time, but I have no problem with that. I think running times of films are
It's not
really...
about the running time. It's about the script. And that's
yeah,
what I've said.
well,
and I
it
don't
wasn't
think
an issue for me.
It wasn't an issue. Okay. What about for you, Dave?
No, I didn't find that an issue. The only thing I found an issue was there's a pretty glaring plot hole in there at one point that, if one of my first year screenwriting students handed that in, I would have said to them, go and fix that up before I pass you. But to me, I found it an interesting film, and I find it interesting what people are saying about this film. Everybody's comparing it to Wes Anderson, which I think is unfair, because Wes Anderson is Wes Anderson and nobody else is Wes Anderson.
No, but I mean, there's a quirkiness to it. There certainly is.
Yeah, but that just means that David O. Russell has written a quirky script. I don't think he needs to be compared to a guy who's basically created his own genre. I liked the humour of this film. I thought there was times throughout this film where humour was a great way of getting across the points that Russell was making. I actually really applaud Russell for the way that he touches on so many sensitive topics in this film, from mental illness through to racial relationships, but does it in such a way that you never feel like you're being preached at as an audience, but it's there for you to take notice of. I love the characters that he's created. You mentioned Mike Myers and Michael Shannon's characters. You almost want a spin-off movie of theirs or a TV series or something.
Yeah. A buddy type film, yeah.
Yeah, all of his characters come together so well. The only fault that I had with the movie is, like I said, is that one plot point where I was like, are you kidding? Have you forgotten about a scene earlier? The rest of the film worked wonderfully for me.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to give it a lower score than you guys then. What are you scoring it, Dave?
I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. I know I shouldn't be harsh on things like that, but yeah, I just find it really weird that such a huge plot hole could find its way through to the final draft of this film.
Can't really say what that plot
hole.
So, we're going to be a bit sensitive about that. What about you, Peter?
Look, I really enjoyed the film and watched the roving eyeball in the film, but no, I really liked it, and I thought that it worked really well, and I gave it 8 out of 10.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to lowball this, guys, compared to what you've done. I'm giving it a 6.5 to 7, and that's because I did